All right, guys, Brian here with the Vet Source, back again on a nice sunny day. Summertime, where when it rains it pours. Of course, we're talking about cars, not rain here, because we haven't gotten that much rain, but did a little sneak preview of this thing a few days ago on my community tab. And again, if you've been with me for a while, you know I do like 60s cars. I like newer stuff good, but the 60s cars really fascinate me, just because that was quite right the era before I was born. But these always had something about them, a style that hasn't been matched nowadays. Now, a lot of you are going to know what this is. For those of you that don't, this is a very interesting 69 Buick, of all things, Riviera. This is back in the day when the Rivieras were still basically a luxury executive's muscle car, I guess is what you'd call it, because these actually were equipped with very large cubic displacement engines. This is actually the second largest engine that these came with. And then after the mid-70s, they kind of turned them into land barges, and they got progressively more, what's the word I'm looking for, luxury versus muscle. Now, this one here, I was fortunate enough, I found this. It's a nice detail there. Found this up there hiding in the woods. And the truth was, it was so complete and such a good deal that there was no way I could pass it up. Now, again, it's not going to be like I have a lot of extra time to play with it, but you can see looking at it here, this guy's been off the road at least since 1997. And that jives with what the gentleman told me that sold it to me. It was his father-in-law's car, ran and drove, and he just got bored of it after a couple of years of having it, and like a lot of times happens, just parked it right out there in the next to the property, next to the barn and the property. So it has suffered a little bit from sitting outside, but this thing is very complete. Now, he wasn't sure of the mileage on this car, but it only shows to have 34,000 miles. Now, this is the second generation of the Rivieras. If you guys haven't ever seen these 60s Rivies before, 63 through 65 was their first gen that had that clamshell headlight setup. In 60, it was either 64 or 65 they did that. Then they went and changed them again in 66, and they had, that was the last year, 66, so last year the nail head engine, and then 67 they went to this big 430 cubic inch engine. And then in 68, they redesigned the front end and the back end a little bit again to bring them up to some, I guess it was just a way that they did it. They kept redesigning every couple of years to keep the interest level high. But incidentally, coincidentally, 69 was the highest year of production for this series. I think they made around 54,000 of these cars. And of course, now the headlights are interesting because what you can't see at this point, I'll show you in a second, these headlights actually flip up like this and back into the structure, and then a grill comes back and replaces that. So when you're looking at this with the headlights closed, it looks like there's nothing in the front. It's actually quite cool. It reminds me of Star Wars type look or Star Trek. But the thing about, for me, obviously, and a lot of these cars bring back memories. My grandfather had one of these, and I'm almost certain it was his exact same color. This should have a parchment, which is a white vinyl roof, and the trumpet gold is what this is. No, embassy gold is what this one's got on it. Very faded, very worn, but you can see even among the Rivies they had certain options that they came with, and that's what I'm going to talk about here in a second, is an option this car had that, for me, I don't think that I've ever seen an option on a car that was as crazy as this one or cool looking. It just has a cool factor. So you can see here, this one's got the chrome rims on it, which are optional because I think the base rims were hubcaps. It was not a GS. Now, a GS or Riviera is basically a suspension package and in a posi rear end, but you could actually bundle some of those things together and get the same thing. But the thing that I wanted to show you on this, which to me, it's an option. I think it was $120 back then, but it's very unusual to find them like this with this option. Most of these being luxury cars were going to be, column shift, that type of stuff. But this has a console and bucket seats, and that is the shifter assembly in this car. And it looks like the shifter, let me see if I can get a little closer. It looks just like the shifter which you'd see out of a fighter jet, like an F-15, or you know, where you push that throttle forward. You can see there's your park, reverse, neutral, low 2, low 1. These have got turbo 400s. Right now it's jammed into position. But that, to me, that was the coolest looking thing I'd ever seen. And I don't think I've ever seen another car built with a shifter that cool. Now this thing is just filthy inside, but it's all here. It's even got an AM FM radio, stereo I should say. It's got a power antenna. And here's the kicker. This car only shows to have 32,000 miles. So as filthy and nasty as it is, I'm actually curious. I think this may be original mileage. Now, this car suffered obviously from sitting outside for as many years as it did, so it is going to have to be gone through. But it's a Riviera, it's a 69, and there are not many of these 69 Rivieras left. There's a few of them floating around, but not only are they hard to find, but the parts are impossible to find on them too. Of course, it's got power windows, no power door locks, but it is a very cool car. And with that engine, it's really cool. But I love that full-length console. Isn't that neat? It throws people off every time they see that. But this is one section of the door panel I basically cleaned up the other day just out of curiosity. And it came out looking really good. You can see the doors still shut like a tank. Let me show you here under the hood though. So this was the first year for Buick's new engine. Let me see if I can do this. Hang on just a second. There we go. All right. And that hood weighs about 1,000,000 pounds. But this is that 430 4-barrel Buick. First move away from the nailhead engine. And of course, this is air conditioning. It's got power steering. It's got pretty much everything you'd expect. Power brakes. There's our trim tag over in the corner showing it's a code 75. Embassy gold with a white parchment top with a gold interior. But as filthy and nasty as it is, it's complete. And it looks like most of it is in original condition. It's not been butchered. There's a few little extra wires I see there. I think he was running those for the extra oil pressure and temperature, but everything looks fairly original under the hood of this car. Even the hose clamp there that goes to that heat riser, that old style clamp, I mean, everything looks like it's extremely untouched. So this will be fun if I can get to it one day. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of show you. I may catalog this later on and see, but I can kind of show you real quick. This is that headlight mechanism that takes these headlights back, and this is actually the grill. I'm trying to see here, actually this is the first time I've seen the articulation on these. So there's the pivot, just like the Corvette headlights from this era. Everything was vacuum. They loved that vacuum system. There's our vacuum reservoir right there, and it's frozen in place, so I can't really move it. When you see the vacuum line going in there, oh wait, that one kind of moves. Oh, I see what it does. So as that pulls them down, it articulates the rest of the grill that's here facing this direction now back to its utmost position. Let's see something. I'm just curious if this will work. No, they're frozen and I don't want to break them, so we're going to leave it alone. But a very cool setup. Very neat. Obviously a little more work to get to. Oh, that was added. I bet you that's a kill switch for the car that they added as a theft deterrent. But, you know, pretty neat. These Rivieras you could get with some really interesting options. There's our horn set up there. There's our evaporator, or our dryer, I should say, because this is a POA car, POA valve AC system still. But if I can ever find the time to get into it, I'd like to actually see if it'll turn over, because they claim it was still running when they parked it. You know, that's the story a lot of times, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna see at least the breaker bar will go on it and crank it, if it'll crank at least. but pretty cool for sure. So I just wanted to bring that to you guys. We get back to our regular other stuff here. I've got to go, like I said, stash this in the warehouse and put it away, but figured it'd be fun to look at over the weekend if you guys got nothing else going on. So I'm gonna get back to it, guys. I'll be back next week with some more good stuff, and we'll talk then. Thanks everybody for watching.